Next on the news, U.S. bishops speaking out against President Biden's executive actions to protect the right to an abortion. Plus,
we are there for the long haul.
With the devastating floods in Kentucky, the Catholic Church is there to help those who need it the most. Also, calling all married couples how the Diocese of Brooklyn will help you celebrate your anniversary in a special way. And Pope Francis promotes the nurse credited with saving the Holy Father's life. I'm Emily Druby in for Christine Bersichetti. This special edition of Currents News starts right now. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops sharply critical of President Biden's executive actions to protect abortion, saying we should be working to support women and build up a culture of life. The pro-life fight lives on tonight, despite some new developments over the past week. Tuesday night, Kansas lawmakers voted against removing the right to an abortion from the state constitution. And on Wednesday, President Biden signed an executive order to help women looking to cross state lines for abortions.
Congress must codify the protections of Roe as federal law. And if Congress fails to act, the people of this country need to elect senators and representatives who will restore Roe and will protect the right to privacy, freedom, and equality.
The executive order signed by President Biden helps cover costs for women who travel from states where abortion is illegal to obtain the procedure. More specifically, the order directs states to write their individual rules so Medicaid will cover some of those costs. During his announcement, Biden also supported the decision that came out of Kansas less than 24 hours before, when voters chose to keep the right to an abortion in their state's constitution. For abortion advocates celebrating the win, while pro-life advocates are condemning them. The Kansas Catholic Conference, including strong anti-abortion advocate Kansas City Archbishop Joseph Naumann, he released this statement in regards to the decision in the state. We are sorry to see that the most vulnerable human being in our society, the unborn child, will not be protected but further treated with indifference and injustice. While yesterday, Patrick Kelly, the Supreme Knight of the Knights of Columbus, called for even more action.
We will continue to march for life until abortion is unthinkable.
Kelly said even with Roe v. Wade overturned, they still need to fight as many states will just expand protections.
We are not done. The end of Roe is a crucial milestone, but we cannot mistake it for the end of abortion. We can hope it's the beginning of the end. And as Knights, we must push forward with all the courage and compassion we can summon.
Kelly again urged his Knights to attend the annual March for Life, a major pro-life event. It's set for early 2023 in Washington, D.C. The Tablet newspaper is a pro-life paper forever highlighting those who support mothers in need. This week, the paper reported on a pro-life group dedicated to supporting students who are pregnant or have young children. The Kathleen Mullally Foundation recently awarded a mom trying to pursue her master's in public health by covering her baby's daycare costs. The 32-year-old is from the island of Jamaica. She came to the U.S. a few years ago to seek medical treatment for paralysis that hit her suddenly. Doctors gave her a long list of things she couldn't achieve, including having a child of her own. But now she's not only proving the naysayers wrong, she's trying to help others. To read the rest of the story, just go to your local church and pick up a copy of the tablet, and you can get future editions sent straight to your mailbox by going to thetablet.org. The first bus of migrants sent to New York City by Texas Governor Greg Abbott has arrived. Roughly 50 migrants from the southern border arrived at the Port Authority Friday morning. They were greeted and brought into the custody of non-governmental charity workers and volunteers. Governor Abbott, along with the governor of Arizona, has been dispatching dozens of buses filled with migrants to Washington, D.C. since April to protest President Biden's border policies. The U.S. will pursue talks with Russia about a possible prisoner swap to free Brittany Griner. The American basketball star was found guilty of bringing drugs into the country. Griner was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison on drug smuggling charges. President Biden and other top U.S. officials spoke out against the verdict. The 31-year-old was arrested at a Moscow airport and accused of trying to smuggle less than 1 gram of cannabis oil in her luggage. A U.S. drone strike in Afghanistan has taken out a top al-Qaeda leader who was the mastermind of the 9/11 terror attacks. On Monday, President Biden announced that the CIA took out Ayman al-Zawahiri in Kabul. Al-Zawahiri, along with Osama bin Laden, orchestrated the September 11th attacks and then evaded U.S. forces for decades. U.S. officials say the Taliban was aware of al-Zawahiri's presence and tried to conceal it. According to the organization Open Doors, Afghanistan ranks #1 on its list for countries facing Christian persecution. I previously spoke with Ed Clancy, the outreach director for Aid to the Church in Need, about what al-Zawahiri's reign and what his death means for Christians in the nation.
What al-Qaeda did when it attacked on September 11th was it made the world realize that there is a problem globally. And what has happened to Christianity in the Middle East in these last 20 years is awful. You look at Iraq, where the population is down 90%. In Syria, it might be down 70%. Lebanon is going through crisis, and then there's other areas like Pakistan and Nigeria around the world which have aligned themselves with ISIS, which is essentially the stepchild of al-Qaeda. And we see now that there's a worldwide anti-Christian presence looking to kill people.
Ed went on to say the church has been responding to the needs of Christians in the country. Kentucky is expected to face enormous cost as rebuilding efforts get underway after devastating flooding. Now the National Guard and state lawmakers are delivering supplies to the hard-hit areas. Phil Pendleton has the latest.
This is the view from inside a Black Hawk helicopter with guardsmen, the crucial link for people needing food and water.
It makes us feel like we're actually doing what our jobs are. People are crying and thanking us for bringing food or rescuing them or whatever we can do. But it makes us feel like we're really doing our job. Everybody's talking about how, this is the best. This is what it's all about right here.
Pallets of bottled water and meals ready to eat were loaded up at the Hazard Airport, then sent out to devastated areas.
What these people are doing to rescue missions is so amazing. We just thank the Lord that we're able to do all these things.
Many areas are cut off from stores or any kind of help. People don't have a way to get their essential items. The only way is from above.
Everything's finally coming to a T. We finally got everything that we trained for is happening, especially with our leadership has really kept us trained up and everybody's just together and working as a team.
Several Kentucky lawmakers were along for the ride Wednesday and got a bird's eye view of the destruction and what they could be called on to appropriate funds to help fix.
You haven't seen anything like this in anybody's lifetime, and people are cut off, they're stranded. The only access they have to water and food supplies are through airdrops that we just performed.
Guard pilots are able to maneuver in very hard to reach places.
To watch a helicopter land in about a 30 by 30 area, to drop a load of MREs and water, the skills they have, the coordination they have, they do an amazing job.
Calling them the real heroes to many people.
That was Phil Pendleton reporting. The Kentucky National Guard has been flying supply missions to eastern Kentucky 7 to 8 hours a day in the wake of the storms. Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Lexington has been on the ground since the flooding began and will be there long after, vowing to serve the short and long-term needs of those most in need. I spoke with the executive director of Catholic Charities of Lexington, Meg Campos, about what destruction she's seen and how the organization is helping.
As you can probably tell from the news, there's just massive devastation across 16 counties. There have been many lives lost, roads blocked, hard to get some of the help in.
I can't even imagine. My heart just goes out to you and to everybody there. Now, there's about 70 volunteer organizations that responded to the Kentucky floods. What makes Catholic Charities stand out?
Catholic Charities comes in the initial phase, and we are there for the long haul. will go in and stay in until we help people rebuild their lives. Right now, on the immediate response, we're coordinating shipments that were originated from Catholic Charities USA. We have a loaner with excellent expertise in responding to disasters that's coming to us from Florida. And he's working remotely, just coordinating some of those shipments, getting them to the warehouses that we have identified in our Catholic network here in our diocese. And those are on their way to water, food, hygiene kits, other needed items to meet those immediate needs.
Speaking of those immediate needs, I know before you mentioned there's also long-term assistance to those suffering from disasters like this. So how has the response been this week, and how are you planning to help over the next few months?
So the long-term recovery, I mean, it is kind of finding housing, temporary shelter, and then the long term of rebuilding the homes that have been lost and the property damage. In a past flood, we had one household wiped out and they had 4 cars wiped out. And, that's kind of the things that we really have to rally together and help get the people rehomed, rebuild their lives, and walk with them in this time of trauma. So we're hoping to bring in some of our counseling services too, in both the short and long term, as those don't go away. And we're already working on that angle too.
That was the Executive Director of Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Lexington, Meg Campos. As you heard, the people of Kentucky can use all the assistance they can get. If you'd like to help, then head online to CatholicCharitiesLexington.org and click on Disaster Services to donate. A new podcast is out now that people of the Diocese of Brooklyn will want to pay attention to. Bishop Robert Brennan is the co-host of Big City Catholics, a show that explores questions of faith that impact your everyday life. In the latest episode, Bishop Brennan talks about an important anniversary coming up in the diocese, the 200th anniversary of the start of the Cathedral Basilica of St. James.
I'm glad to be able to be back in Brooklyn and Queens at this time when we're celebrating one of those historical moments, one of those foundational moments, the church being present in the life of the people in so many ways.
That's the 8th episode of the Big City Catholics podcast that drops every Friday. To listen to them and to catch all of the newest episodes as they come out, just go to podcast.dioceseofbrooklyn.org or search for Big City Catholics on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in honor of the St. James anniversary, Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan, as well as New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan and the Diocese of Rockville Center's Bishop John Beres want you to come to a special Mass. It'll be at the Cathedral Basilica of St. James Sunday, August 14th at 2 p.m. It's open to everyone in the diocese, but if you can't come, don't worry. It'll be broadcasted live on Net TV. Again, that Mass will be on Sunday, August 14th at 2 p.m. A striking portrait of the Holy Family now adorns the walls at St. Joseph's Church in Astoria. The painting, called The Rest of the Holy Family, shows Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus resting on rocks with an angel gazing from above as Joseph wraps his arms lovingly around Mary. The parish unveiled and blessed the painting during their morning Mass last Sunday. It was personally made for the church by an artist in Milan, and all the costs were covered by a single parishioner. There's a lot more news headed your way. First was New York City. Now President Biden is declaring a public health emergency in the U.S. because of monkeypox. A strong federal jobs report just out, but the record inflation could still be draining the economy. And if you're married, the Diocese of Brooklyn has the perfect way to celebrate your anniversary. The Biden administration has declared monkeypox as a public health emergency in the U.S. Cases have been on the rise across the U.S. recently. Since the first domestic case was identified in mid-May, more than 6,600 probable or confirmed cases have been detected across the country in every state except Montana and Wyoming. The federal government is now in the process of distributing 1.1 million doses of the monkeypox vaccine. New York City has so far received 79,000 doses. That's out of the approximately 131,000 the White House has allocated for the city. It comes after Mayor Eric Adams on Monday called the Big Apple the epicenter of the nation's monkeypox outbreak. Adams warned that as many as 150,000 New Yorkers may be at risk of exposure. As of Friday, the city recorded at least 1,700 cases.
We are pivoting and shifting based on the crises that are coming to our city and country. And others look at what we're doing and they commend what we're doing.
You need 2 doses to be fully vaccinated. However, New York City is currently prioritizing first doses in an effort to protect as many members of the community as possible, as quickly as possible. In the meantime, here's what to look out for. Monkeypox symptoms usually start appearing within 2 weeks of close contact with someone who has the virus. They most commonly include itchy and painful rashes or sores that can either appear all over the body or on certain parts, such as the hands, feet, or face. Some people have been reported to experience flu-like symptoms such as sore throats, fevers, and fatigue. While most cases do clear up on their own, if you think you may be infected, then reach out and consult your doctor. A surprisingly positive federal jobs report was released on Friday. It showed the U.S. economy added more than 500,000 jobs in July. That's nearly double what economists predicted. But as Chris Wynn reports, it comes at a time when Americans are facing record inflation.
The latest employment snapshot is surprising economists and giving the Biden administration something to celebrate.
We saw people hiring at not record numbers, but at big numbers.
Data released Friday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the U.S. economy has now regained all jobs lost during the COVID-19 pandemic after a blowout jobs report showed a gain of 528,000 jobs.
If we were in a recession, companies would be laying people off rather than hiring them.
Some analysts are cautiously optimistic and say it's important to put these figures in perspective.
Eventually, we're going to run out of bodies. You can't have an unemployment rate be at the 53-year low and keep adding 500,000 jobs a month. There just aren't enough people.
At 3.5%, the July jobless rate matched the half-century low last seen in February 2020. President Biden taking a victory lap, crediting his economic policies for the encouraging numbers, but acknowledging there's more work to do.
I know it's hard to feel good about job creation when you already have a job and you're dealing with rising prices, food and gas, and so much more.
Administration officials say they'll continue their work on bringing the costs down.
Whether it's through releasing oil reserves, whether it's working on this Inflation Reduction Act, working with companies to bring more people out, we're doing everything we can to bring these inflationary pressures on you down so you have more money in your pocket.
Chris Wynn, Currents News.
This latest report also revealed that all the job losses that the U.S. endured during the pandemic have now been wiped away. It's saying I do all over again. The Diocese of Brooklyn is honoring the sacred sacrament of matrimony with a special mass next month. All husbands and wives, regardless of their anniversary year, are invited to join Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan at Resurrection Ascension Church in Rego Park to renew their wedding vows. There is a $30 fee, which includes a professional photo with the bishop. And for more information on the anniversary mass and how to register, just contact Christine Georgie at 718-281-9540 or email her at cgeorgie@diobrook.org. Catholic Charities Brooklyn and Queens is helping families fight inflation with their 12th annual Kids Fun Day. The event at Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Astoria gives kids who are getting ready for back to school a backpack and a variety of school supplies. The event also gave out free health screenings and fresh produce. Hundreds of kids normally take part in the block party style event. Still to come on Currents News, there was snow in August. Next, we'll show you how this event commemorates the founding of a treasured basilica in Rome. And Pope Francis pays back a nurse credited with saving the Holy Father's life. It's been a hot summer, but there was actually snow in August at a basilica in Rome. It's all to pay tribute to the founding of St. Mary Major. Kelsey Gussie has the story.
Europe is experiencing one of its strongest heat waves in recent history. But in Rome, it's snowing. White rose petals drop from the ceiling of St. Mary Major Basilica to commemorate the legend behind this church's founding. It holds that one summer night in the 4th century, the Virgin Mary appeared to a noble Roman couple in a dream and told them to build a church in her honor, where they found snow the next morning. That same night, the Pope had the same dream, and all three went to Rome's Esquiline Hill, which they found covered in snow despite the August heat. It's a story that still brings pilgrims from around the world to that same spot each August 5th, the Feast of Our Lady of the Snows.
I thought it would be a great opportunity to celebrate this feast here and to experience this feast in the place where it originates. That's why we also thought that it would be additionally special now in our honeymoon.
I think that it helps us grow a bit more in the faith, to believe more in God, and that He can do impossible things, and that's very motivating. Being from Poland, you feel a church in communion, a Catholic church, that we are really here united in prayer, even if not everyone understands the language. In that way, we are united in Christ.
St. Mary Major was the first Marian church in Rome, built immediately after the Council of Ephesus in 431, which proclaimed Mary as the Mother of God. Over 1,500 years after its construction, it continues to be a powerful statement on Mary's central role in the church.
That was Kelsey Gussie reporting. The Basilica of St. Major is considered one of the oldest and most important shrines in the world. Saving the Pope's life can take you a long way, and for one nurse at the Vatican, it meant a very special promotion. Meet Massimiliano Strappetti. Just a few days ago, he was the nursing coordinator for the Vatican's health department, but now he's the Pope's personal health assistant. Last year, the Holy Father credited Strappetti with saving his life, saying the Vatican nurse was the one who advised him to undergo intestinal surgery. Strappetti's appointment was announced just days after he accompanied the Holy Father on his week-long trip to Canada. And that is Currents News. I'm Emily Druby. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. But before we go, we want to take one last look at Pope Francis's trip to Canada. The Holy Father has talked about the trip multiple times since he touched back down in Rome, because he says it was a pilgrimage of healing that will stay with him forever. Hope to see you again next time.